honestly, how are you faring with the rampant increases in fuel prices? How do you plan on handling this latest increment by more than 1 Ghana cedi per litre? I'm really curious to know, and I'm particularly concerned about transport operators and how they are dealing with this.
Speaking on the floor of Parliament on Wednesday, June 15, the Deputy Minister for Energy, William Oreku-Edu, explained factors influencing the increase in fuel prices. He explained that the increase has been a major challenge and governments cannot solely be blamed for it.
Rises in petroleum product prices on the global market and the depreciation cost of Ghana cedi against the US dollar are passed on directly to the end consumer. On the domestic front, the oil importers have to compete for forests in the open markets to import petroleum products, which they mostly get at very high rates. Since the exchange rate is a major component of the price of petroleum products in Ghana, its market behavior also reflects the significant price hikes. So, Speaker, indeed, it's a challenge. This is a worldwide phenomenon that is happening. And of course, the government is doing all it can. As I'm sure you know, the state cedi has been stabilized reasonably in the last several weeks. As opposed to what is happening as a result of the Ukraine war, we have very little to do about it. And all that we can all hope as people is to continue to hope that the steps that government has taken will continue to afford us enough supply of petroleum in this country, as opposed to what is happening in other countries around the world, where people are queuing and sleeping in filling stations for fuel.
Fuel prices are set to go up by at least 1 Ghana cedi this week, following data released by the bulk oil distribution companies. This has prompted commercial transport operators to announce that there may be an increase in transport fares again. Also, as fuel prices go up, prices of food will continue to surge. Today, I walk to the streets to find out how Ghanaians are coping with this dire situation. Meanwhile, the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers Ghana, COPEC, has been proposing a number of interventions government can take to avert the constant hike in fuel prices.
It is likely from the 16th, which is tomorrow, prices could be adjusted across the pumps by between 10 and 14%, depending on the OMC you buy from. What that means in nominal terms is that petrol, which is currently selling at 12 cedi, 10 cedi, 10 pesos, is likely to do about 11 cedi, 30 pesos. Diesel, which is currently averaging 12 cedi, 20 pesos, is likely to shoot up to about 13 cedi, 30 pesos. LPG, however, is expected to decline by as much as 12%, which means that we could be doing a kilogram for about 10 cedi, 6 pesos. But this is without any premiums and any adjustment in premiums. If the numbers that we have recorded per BDC transactions continue to remain as it is as of today, then it supposes that you'll be paying at least 1 Ghana cedi for petrol diesel.
What is accounting for the expected increment? What could be the way forward with the situation, as there clearly is no end in sight with global oil prices continuing to soar?
Short to medium term, we would expect TOR to be brought back on stream. The cedi continues to drag as far as your fuel pricing is concerned. Not long ago, we were probably doing about 7.2, 7.5. As we speak today, some of the BDCs would have to do about 8.8 to $1. That would drag your prices. If your refinery was working, you may probably not need to pay your supplier in the hard currency. You could go to the refinery and get the product in the local currency. So the refinery will source for its crude, either locally or import. Again, the second most crucial safety net, which seem not to be working, is the bulk oil storage and transportation. I have maintained that BOST was not set up to be a trader. Originally, we anticipated times like this would arise where crude will probably be doing 120, expected to move to as high as 160 by close of year. If you do have a strategic buffer that can hold products, in our case, it's not even crude, it holds finished products, petrol, diesel. One would expect that when prices are not so high, we would all be interested in stocking up.
Still on the oil and gas sector, and leading oil marketing company GOIL Ghana Limited has posted profits for its 2021 financial year. It made profits of almost 100 million Ghana cedis, which was 9% higher than the previous year.
The 53rd Annual General Meeting of GOIL, which was held on 15th of June 2022, saw shareholders vote on and approve 5 resolutions, including the declaration of a dividend for the year ended December 31, 2022, the election of directors retiring by rotation, the fixing of directors' remuneration, among other resolutions. On the company's profitability, management bemoaned the company's inability to match and exceed the profitability level achieved in the year 2019. Board Chairman of GOIL Company Limited, Reginald Daniel Lai, first of all shared the improvement in the company's sales for last year.
Despite the challenging nature of the year under review, the company managed to improve upon performance volume-wise. The volume of sales of fuels was approximately 886.6 million litres, about 11% above that of the previous year, thus overtaking growth in the industry, which was 9%. The biggest contribution to sales revenue came from our 2 main products, diesel and super, of which our RON 95 variety is the market leader today. A mix of other products, including lubricants and specialized sales to specific industries like the mines and bunkering, achieved mixed results. Their contribution to the bottom line was, however, positive.
Mr. Lai gave more insight into the company's performance for last year.
GOIL's financial performance showed signs of recovery, registering a profit after tax of Ghana cedis 98.74 million, up by 9% compared for the year 2020. However, the company is yet to achieve a figure higher than the corresponding figure registered prior to the year 2020, which was approximately 105 million billion. Earnings per share increased from GHS 0.23 to GHS 0.253. Total assets increased from 2.1 billion cedis to approximately 2.5 billion cedis. The company did not lose any customers in the mining sector and increased sales volume by 32% due to increased operations of the customers. We achieved a 21% growth in our aviation business and maintained our dominant position in the local aviation market. We continue to seek out the right partnerships to guarantee our long-term growth. The company expanded its retail business by adding a total of 14 stations to our nationwide network. The drive to introduce the polymer-modified bitumen, PMB, product into the market, as well as the liquefied petroleum gas, LPG, recirculation was accelerated. Our financial performance meant the board was able to approve a final dividend of Ghana cedis 0.047 per share as compared to 0.045 in 2020.
After the long anticipation, the Development Bank Ghana has finally been launched. It's exciting to know that the bank will focus on sectors that traditional banks will not be keen about. The bank intends supporting such sectors like agriculture, manufacturing, etc. The good thing is that the government has assured that it would not interfere in the operations of the bank.
The economic transformation that Ghana is pursuing requires the availability of affordable capital for medium and long-term investment by the private sector. However, financial debt remains low in Ghana, constraining private sector development, particularly for micro, small and medium-sized enterprises, which accounts for over 80% of all business establishments. As part of measures to check this situation, the government of Ghana began work on the establishment of the Development Bank Ghana (DBG) in 2018 to offer long-term credit to SMEs. According to government, the new development bank is a wholesale and non-deposit-taking bank which will increase access to long-term finance and boost job creation for thousands of businesses in key sectors, including agribusiness, manufacturing, ICT, tourism and other services across the country. Though a laudable initiative by government, concerns have been expressed by the public and stakeholders questioning the rationale behind setting a new development bank when existing ones such as the Agricultural Development Bank (ADB) and the National Investment Bank (NIB) couldn't live up to expectations. Addressing the media at the pre-launch briefing session, Chief Executive Officer of Development Bank Ghana, Kwame Nabenji Encho Duka, reassured that stringent measures have been put in place to ensure the success and independence of the Development Bank Ghana.
The process of setting up the bank and the process of selecting the team, both board and management, was completely different than from previous experiences. So we have a strong board and a strong process to appoint that board, and same with management. We also have on our board institutions that have put money into DBG. So they have board seats and observer seats on that board, again to ensure that we are fierce and strict on our governance and our governance process. And then the mandate of DBG has been very clear. Before we lend even our first penny, we have put in place strong guardrails for compliance risk, a strong ALCO, to make sure that we have all those regulatory and internal risk parameters firmly in place.
He said the bank will also support commercial banks with some capacity building in order to better understand its core mandate.
The gap in the manufacturing sector for SMEs alone is 115 billion Ghana cedis. It will be extremely difficult for any one institution to fill that gap. And that is why DBG is mandated to do the difficult things first, which is build collaborative unions with the banking sector, with our other PFIs, to ensure that together we amplify and leverage our ability to lend. So we act as catalysts, working together with some of the banks that we mentioned already, so that our impact is amplified and leveraged.
Meanwhile, President Akufo-Addo has assured that the Development Bank Ghana will be devoid of political and government interference. Speaking at the launch of the bank, he tasked the management of the bank to form strong partnerships with the private sector and work with them to provide access to long-term funds, access the markets both domestic and foreign, and skills developments.
Government expects the Development Bank Ghana to use its strong financial position to support the growth of private sector companies, to help create high-quality jobs, and enable Ghana's private sector to compete more favorably within the framework of the African Continental Free Trade Area. The board has been tasked to scale up the bank's resource envelope so as to drive the country's economic transformation agenda and entrench the institution's international pedigree. I want to assure the board of the bank that government will not interfere in its decision-making process so as to guarantee its independence of operation and enable it to work professionally and efficiently in the larger interest of its overarching objective of helping drive private sector-led growth of our national economy. This portends bright prospects for Ghana's future.
So COVID-19 did not drastically disrupt remittances in Ghana. Last year, the Bank of Ghana reported that $4.5 billion was remitted into the country. As the International Day of Family Remittance was celebrated earlier in the week, industry players are confident that the figure could be higher in 2022.
Global remittances, the hard-earned money sent by migrant workers to their family members in low and middle-income countries, grew by 8.6% in 2021. Despite predictions that the COVID-19 pandemic would reduce remittance flows, the momentum was sustained due to a 48% increase in money sent through mobile channels, according to a report by the International Fund for Agricultural Development. Meanwhile, money sent home by over 200 million migrant workers around the world this year is expected to reach $630 billion. In Ghana, like many developing countries, remittances are the most visible forms of immigrants or migrant economic contributions to the economies of their home countries, as they form a substantial part of their country's GDP and help shore up foreign reserves. Despite the impact of the COVID-19 on global economies, remittances to Ghana shot up by 5% to $3.6 billion in 2020, according to World Bank's 2021 Migration and Development Report. Figures from the Bank of Ghana show that Ghana received remittances of $4.5 billion in 2021, representing 6.3% of the country's GDP. Following this progressive trend, players in the fintech space are optimistic of an even better performance in the coming years. Speaking on the sidelines of the Disrupt 270 Summit organized to mark the International Day of Family Remittances, the managing director of ZPay, one of the fastest growing fintechs in Ghana, Andrew Techi-Apia, predicted a 16% growth in remittances following a rebound in economic activities on the global market.
Well, I don't see remittance figures declining. It didn't decline in 2008 when we had the meltdown. It didn't decline when we had the COVID lockdowns. It's going to grow, and I'll tell you why it's going to grow. Because what we're also seeing in the diaspora, where they are in their host countries, these men and women are being given a lot more opportunities. They are going up the social ladder, so they are taking on more responsibilities. Their wallet sizes or income brackets are going up, so they can only contribute more. Also, the enabling policies that, thanks to President Akufo-Addo and his team, have put together, what you're finding is that they're able to also do a lot more with their monies here. So it's going to increase. I'm actually projecting another 10 to 16% increase for 2022, and we're already seeing the signs of it.
Samson Akligo, the director of the Financial Sector Division at the Finance Ministry, further suggested ways by which remittances can be scaled into other sectors of the economy.
How do we leverage remittances as a derivative of microinsurance, so that remittance can purchase microinsurance from abroad directly for their friends and family in Ghana? Or how do we leverage remittances to enable diaspora invest in Ghana through a simple product such as Remit Invest, directly in treasury bills or related instruments? These and many more are what our discussion should focus on today. I also think that it's important for us to link remittance investment to some of the critical sectors that government is working to develop, such as the mutual fund industry. Sitting at the forefront of such developments are companies like CPay and MoneyGram, who have made it clear agenda to improve last mile access for remittance receivers globally.
Financial scams are becoming more of a problem because of the current technologies available. But the Bank of Ghana believes the public can avoid falling victim to such schemes by exercising diligence.
As part of a sensitization exercise by the Bank of Ghana to help reduce the rate at which people fall victim to various financial scams, the central bank has been highlighting key factors it wants the public to critically consider. Godfred Kujo is with the Financial Stability Department of the Bank of Ghana.
And it's very critical that every individual, when you want to deal with any of our banking institutions, you find out whether they have a license. It's very, very important that you take note of that. And we have said that when you go to the banking, or you should see their licenses display. If you have any doubt, you can even reach out to Bank of Ghana. You can visit the Bank of Ghana's website, and you'll be able to see all the institutions that are licensed. I think that it's also very important for us to also sensitize them about some abolitions that Bank of Ghana has rolled out in the market. So we've abolished quite a number of practices and fees that the banks were charging or undertaking within the banking sector. So, for instance, we have said that it is not allowed for a bank to charge what we call maintenance fees on savings account. We have said that it is also not allowed for a bank or a savings or loans or a finance house to change the ownership of a collateral. So, for instance, if you take your car as a collateral, we are saying that the bank should not change the name into the name, joint name of the bank or into the bank to the extent of the customer paying for the cost of all that. So we highlighted all these that we needed to let the public know about it. And in terms of the loans, we also explained why it was important that customers, before you take a loan, you really assess your needs. You look out for the various charges that the banks are charging on the loan, the interest rate. And very importantly, we've mentioned that customers or borrowers should be concerned about the APR. So we said that anytime you are going to take a loan from a bank, you need to ask for what we call the annualized percentage rate. That is the cost of the loan. So, and the very important also is that anytime you want to take a facility, please make sure that you shop around. You can visit five institutions, take their annualized percentage rate, compare, or what we call pre-agreement truth in lending. As I refer to it as pro forma invoice. So go to Bank A, collect it. I need a loan of 50,000. What will be the interest rate? What will I be paying? Go to Bank B, take the same, and then now comfortably go home and compare the prices and look out for which one will best suit your ability to repay and all that. This is what we want the public to know.
Godfred Kujo made this known on the sidelines of a sensitization exercise for officers of the Immigration Service in the Ashanti region. He says his outfit is targeting the security agencies because a number of complaints have been coming from persons within the security services.
And this is very important because we noticed that, and this is from our complaint statistics, that a number of complainants are coming from from the security agency. And then especially when it comes to when there's a poison scheme within the country, we notice that our security agencies are the most hit. So when we look at the complaints that are coming from the public in terms of a Ponzi scheme that they have engaged themselves in, you notice that our security agencies are the types of complainant. And that's why we thought that it's important that we sensitize them on some of these things so that it doesn't repeat itself. And we see this more on those who go for peacekeeping and they come back and they have quite some amount of money and they find it difficult to locate where to invest these monies. And the advice is that it is your hard-earned money that you want to invest. So it's important that you take your time and then look out for a licensed institution and then invest your funds.
The accountant for the Ghana Immigration Service in the Ashanti region, Chief Superintendent Joshua Aite, admits that, indeed, some of his members have been victims of various financial scams, and as such, trainings by the Bank of Ghana will help save their members from becoming victims.
Yes, with the issue of us to our colleagues being victims. Yes, sometimes you get reports, but sometimes they also keep some of the things to themselves. They don't come out. You only hear from their colleagues that one or two people fell victims to some of these things. It would help us a lot. For instance, I handle issues of accounts over here. That is why I also came in. But some of the issues, example, the complaints issues and all those things, some of us were not privy to some of this information as to the levels we are supposed to go through for our issues to be resolved.
Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia wants the financial sector to introduce innovative ways to capture the unbanked populace onto the digital payments ecosystem. Delivering the keynote address at the launch of the GhanaPay, a shared electronic wallet product, Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia stated that this is critical to the acceleration of the government's economic transformation agenda.
A key approach to financial inclusion is the growth of mobile financial services. This provides a fresh perspective on digital transformation and demonstrates that technology can help modernize the financial system. In Ghana, the introduction of mobile money service platforms has transformed from being only a mobile transfer service to a mix of other financial services such as payments, savings, and even loans. For instance, in less than a decade, Gibbs Instant Pay transactions valued at 420,000 Ghana cedis in 2016 surged exponentially to hit 31.4 billion Ghana cedis in 2021. Both the value of mobile money transactions and registered mobile money agents also increased 13 and 4 folds, respectively, in 2021. Despite this, more is being done by stakeholders within the financial space to improve on financial inclusion and strengthen the gains made so far. Delivering the keynote address at the launch of GhanaPay, a shared electronic wallet product, Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia reiterated calls for stakeholders within the space to introduce innovative ways to capture the unbanked into the digital payments ecosystem.
One of the biggest challenges we faced as a country was the huge unbanked population. For a long time, over 70% of the adult population was unbanked. However, thanks to reforms in the payment system that have introduced electronic payment channels, we have significantly reduced the unbanked population. But I know we can bring it down further, and one of the channels to achieve this is through digital financial services. That is leveraging the increasing adoption and usage of the mobile wallet because of the ease of use. So I'm particularly excited that the banks have closed their ranks and come together to introduce a shared electronic wallet, which has been christened GhanaPay. I see this as a huge avenue for the banks to rapidly bring more people into the banking space. GhanaPay takes care of the bottlenecks associated with the opening of formal bank accounts, so the banks should be able to use the GhanaPay platform to massively reduce the traditionally unbanked population.
Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison, also noted that the introduction of GhanaPay complements measures to accelerate Ghana's migration to electronic payments.
The emergence of new business models in the banking sector, together with partnerships with fintech technology companies in offering payment-related services, have also helped to bridge the financial inclusion gap. Beyond the opportunity to compete directly on product offerings and quality services, the bank-fintech collaboration would help in the realization of common objectives and enable participants achieve scale economies in the expansion of payment networks. Improving efficiency in financial transactions through electronic payments would not only increase productivity but also minimize costs. Beyond and at the macro level, migration to the electronic payments has also the potential to improve Ghana's competitiveness and efficiency in cross-border transactions. The benefits of a successful migration to electronic payments in terms of efficiency gains and cost savings are enormous.
GhanaPay is a mobile money service platform provided by universal banks, rural banks, and savings and loans companies to individuals and businesses. It is a joint initiative of the Ghana Interbank Payment and Settlement Systems Limited (GIPS) and the Ghana Association of Banks. Operating like a mobile money service, GhanaPay has additional banking services designed for financial freedom.
Impact of the COVID-19 pandemic and the Russia-Ukraine war, high inflation rates and more. The government says they are implementing measures to salvage the economy. However, former finance minister under the Mahama administration has an opposing view.
Recent data released by the Bank of Ghana puts Ghana's total public debt stock as of March 2022 at $55.1 billion or 391.9 billion Ghana cedis. In dollar terms, the debt dropped by over $3 billion in the first 3 months of the year, from $58.4 billion in January to $55.1 billion in March. In cedi terms, however, the total debt stock within the first 3 months of this year increased by about 40 billion Ghana cedis, from 351.7 billion Ghana cedis in January 2022 to 391.9 billion Ghana cedis in March 2022 as a result of the depreciation of the cedi against the dollar. The high debt levels, high interest payment realities of the country, coupled with other issues such as downgrades by ratings agencies, has seen the country locked out of the Eurobond market. Some have charged government to go to the International Monetary Fund for policy credibility to pave the way for Ghana to return to the market. Responding to a question on whether or not Ghana needs to go to the IMF, former Finance Minister Tekpe warned that the key priority of government at this point should be on not defaulting on its debt repayments.
I would rather sound a note of caution that the worst thing that could happen to us is to default. Given the fact that our turning to the domestic market, which I recall there was a boast that we could finance the budget from the domestic market, is not materializing. Because of the auction shortfalls and the rest. And remember, as I said, we shouldn't also confuse, I hope I made this point. We should not confuse our inability to pay arrears and the building of arrears with austerity just because the cash expenditures are low. And that's why I'm all for looking at arrears. I would express a worry than a prediction and a caution, and that if we are adamant in these things, we may end up defaulting, which would be the worst thing that could happen.
According to Mr. Tekpe, government now needs to take drastic measures if it doesn't want to return to the Bretton Woods institution.
The Deputy Minister mentioned a homegrown policy, which, if does not succeed, my only worry is that I have not seen it. It may exist internally. Or if it exists in the budget, then from what I've expressed, the markets don't have any confidence in it anyway, right? And so then we need to do something very drastic on our own, which we laudable. We attempted a homegrown policy, and one of the reasons we went to the fund, is because the World Bank and other development partners started to withhold budget support. And so we went to the fund. Of course, we had approached the fund to do a PSP, what we call the policy support instrument, which was going to be, our preference.
On the issues of food security, the Chamber of Agribusiness Ghana is confident technology can play a critical role in achieving results.
Challenges within the agriculture space have led to inflation associated with local food items rising significantly in recent times, forcing the national inflation rate to record highs. According to some stakeholders, the high inflation rate of some local food items cannot be accepted when we have agriculture-focused programs like Planting for Food and Jobs. While the contribution of food and non-alcoholic beverages to national inflation saw a reduction by 1.6 percentage points, it still stood at 48.4% indicating that the hike in food-related prices contributed about half of the overall inflation rate recorded in the country in May, which rose to 27.6%. Speaking at the 20th Knowledge Forum of the Ghana Chamber of Telecommunications, CEO for the Chamber of Agribusiness Ghana, Anthony Morrison, noted that the time to adopt technology to enhance agriculture in Ghana is now.
What we've got into in the industry now is not about just the use of hose and cutlass, which we call the 7. At least we have the World Bank report that states clearly that the African farmers will make $1 trillion by 2030, which is the next 8 years, if they adopt technology, they adopt high skills, they adopt other high niche areas so that they can make their work effective. But how do we get this done if people in the other sectors, which are enablers to make agriculture effective, are not tapping into our problems and challenges? These are the money-making areas we know. So your expertise in the engineering sector, telecommunication industry, communication, and software development are very key, very, very important towards making sure that we are able to deliver the kind of food that we need.
Mr. Morrison further highlighted the need for government and leading agencies within the agriculture space to invest more into agriculture research to fast-track the growth of the sector.
Research and development cannot be left out of this. We have seen the instrumental role of research and development, monitoring and evaluation are all done. Sometimes I ask myself if we are really into or we understand the critical role research and development plays. As a country, we do not even have any 3D lab or a 4D lab for agriculture, where we do or undertake scenario planning of how plants will behave or how animals will behave before eventually going into production. If you go to Texas or even California, when they are doing their wines, they are able to design a system in the lab using the 4D technology as to the incoming flood or incoming weather, how it's going to affect and how and what should be done.
As government strives to increase its revenues by introducing new tax policies amid a turbulent economy, now might be the right time to pass the tax exemptions bill. Civil society organization Public Service International believes now is the time to pass the bill in the interest of the country. Ghana is reported to lose more than 5 billion Ghana cedis every year to tax exemptions, a development many civil society organizations have raised concerns over. They have consistently called for the passage of the tax exemptions bill, which is currently before Parliament, as it will streamline the tax exemption regime in the country. In an interview with City Business News, tax and trade organizer of the Public Service International Africa and Arab countries, Daniel Obeku, stressed that if Ghana operated a proper tax exemptions regime, there might not have been a need to introduce policies like the electronic transfer levy.
Right. I think that it's critical actually because post-COVID, or I would say a post-COVID economic strategy should look at how government can raise revenue. And so governments that are not looking at some of these critical areas, unfortunately, are going to fall on indirect taxes. And that is why the e-levy has become one of the most controversial issues in the country as far as taxes are concerned, because it is not progressive, it's indirect, and it affects, especially the poor and the vulnerable. And so it is critical that we look at some of these major, areas, because tax exemption, if you look at between 2014, 2017, we are losing, between 400 million and $3 billion in tax exemptions. And I think that we can reconsider these reforms and ensure that we generate enough to develop our schools, to develop our hospitals, to also pay, appropriate wages to workers, because this is critical to our economy. Parliament should critically look at the exemption bill and consider passing it. Should also consider the various contributions that have come from civil society organizations and trade unions, because we are all partners in development.
Finance Minister Kenneth Oriatta has reiterated the need for increased commercial partnerships between Ghana and the United States to improve the trade volumes between the two countries under the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement.
Since January 1, 2021, the African Continental Free Trade Area (AfTA) has been operational, creating a new trade dynamic on the continent. Africa is now a single market of 1.3 billion consumers. Full implementation of the AfTA will contribute to building Africa's structural transformation and reshape markets and economies across the region. Among its benefits, the agreement is expected to increase intracontinental trade and enhance the use of raw materials, thereby boosting sustainable and inclusive industrialization. However, no matter how well-grounded the AfTA objectives are, they will remain elusive if businesses in Africa are unable to take full advantage of the opportunities offered by the agreement in terms of trade and investment. Speaking at the 2022 US-Ghana Business Forum in Accra under the theme Leveraging the AfCFTA to Promote US-Ghana Commercial Partnerships, Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta reiterated the need for increased partnerships between Ghana and the United States to improve the trade volumes between the two countries. Recent data shows that bilateral trade between Ghana and the United States has reached $1.8 billion.
The U.S. is our largest bilateral donor, $140 million obligated in 2022. So we value the closeness between our two nations. I believe there is even more we can do together to bring prosperity and progress to both sides of the Atlantic. In truth, the past few years have been difficult for all of us. As of the rest of the global economy, Ghana and the US have seen that of shared prosperity will also have to come some shared sacrifices. Although our economies both rebounded last year, we are now in the throes of inflation and stagflation, where numbers are just very difficult for anybody managing the treasury of any country. With US inflation accelerating to some 40-year high, 8.6%, and that of Ghana at 27.6%, the effects of the ongoing conflict in Ukraine, and of course the multiple waves of COVID-19 cases cannot be discounted. And the long tail of it is not over. So what do we all do as nations to support each other, to bring resources together and leverage on our collective opportunities?
On the back of current economic challenges, Deputy Secretary of the United States Department of Commerce, His Excellency Don Graves, highlighted the need for both countries to work together to propel economic growth.
With a globe that is recovering from the pandemic, the shocks of rising prices and inflation, Minister, I know you're dealing with this firsthand. I know we're dealing with it as well. Tight supply chains, along with food and energy insecurity. And I want to say that President Biden is committed to supporting agricultural investment, increased fertilizer production, energy production to meet the challenges that we're facing, not just in the United States, but here in the region and across the globe. These are challenges that are faced by all of us, so they must be met by all of us working collaboratively, cooperatively together as friends. Challenges that have been exacerbated, unfortunately, by the really unwarranted war of choice by Vladimir Putin in Ukraine. So as a result, we know that now is not the time to hunker down in our own countries, to pull back and focus inward. Now is the time to find ways to support and work with one another, because through this mutual support is the way that we can all deal with the challenges that we're facing. To invest in a more resilient supply chain, we have to find ways to, as we say, develop friend-shoring or ally-shoring, where we invest not just in the United States, but we invest with our partners around the globe. To work cooperatively to reduce inflation. That's why we remain committed to increasing trade and investment between our countries as a key driver towards recovery.
The 2022 US-Ghana Business Forum was in line with the drive by the AfTA Secretariat to engage the private sector, the African diaspora, and other strategic partners for the effective implementation of the agreement.
It's amazing how fast time flies. We are finished with week 3 of the City Business Festival On Air series. And if you've been following the conversation, I'm sure you found them very insightful as they focused on the Ghana opportunity. As usual, we have curated highlights of the discussions for you, but you can find the full versions on our SoundCloud account, YouTube, and on all our websites. Unemployment remains a major concern in Ghana, with the government introducing various policies to hopefully improve the situation. It is reported that the youth unemployment rate in the country is at 12%, while its underemployment rate is at 50%. Unfortunately, both rates are higher than the overall unemployment rate in sub-Saharan African countries. But Juliet Asante believes the creative industry might be the solution. She was speaking at the City Business Festival On Air series on the topic, Understanding the Ghana Film Opportunity.
I believe that the revolution of Africa will happen from the creative space. And that is a bold statement I can go on record and say anytime. Wow. The kind of mass numbers we need to employ can only come from the creative space. Because the barriers are low, the barriers to entry are low, the opportunity is vast, is global. The branding of Africa can only happen on the wings of the creative space. And young people, are not waiting for permission. So when I say that, for instance, Ghana spent over $70 million on online games, these are young people who are taking their phones, which is something that we have, getting on the phone and making a decision that they are going to play these games. But then we are asking ourselves, or we should ask ourselves, these games, who are developing these games? So we as a country, we need to think about developing these games for our 1.3 billion population in Africa that look like us. Once we begin to do that, then that opens up a space for all these young people who are looking to play, who are playing anyway, who are creating these games anyway, who are creating these animations anyway, who are doing these films anyway. This year, for the first time, a short Ghanaian film made it into Cannes for the first time.
In France.
Cannes in France, which is the world's most foremost film festival. So
she further called on policymakers to give more attention to the industry to enable the country reap maximum benefits.
The opportunity is there. People are coming together and networking. The role of policymakers, and I'm happy and grateful that I have the platform to be able to push forward the policies that are necessary to help the sector push forward the way it needs to do. But this is what I say. With or without policymakers, creativity is creativity. It will find its way.
So policy better get along. Because what the guys are doing, they will keep doing.
They will keep doing.
Wow.
And what they are doing is fantastic. They are selling Ghana. The creative space is selling Ghana. The creative space is bringing money to Ghana. But the gap, according to the UNESCO report, is over 15 billion. And what is Ghana's share in that 15 billion? Those are the questions we need to ask and take the actions that we need to take. You know what? Ghana is the headquarters of Africa Continental Free Trade Union. We are the center. And one of the things that we say is that Ghana is the gateway and Africa is the destination.
Amazing.
Speaking during the forum as part of the month-long City Business Festival, David Ofosudote stressed that it was time to change the narrative in marketing Ghana to the world.
You ought to be unique in order to count. And the uniqueness, if you are thinking in a framework, will be, hey, 3, 4, 5 countries. Nigeria is big enough. Everybody knows Nigeria. Yeah. So why do I want to compete with Nigeria over Jollof when Wache and Kelewele is unique to us? You want to be unique, so you think logically. So if I took Cote d'Ivoire, I took Togo, I took Benin as an example, and let's drive investments. We are attracting the market, and we tell people that you are talking about a 1.27 billion people market, a $6.6 trillion purchase power parity, a 3.6 trillion GDP, combined GDP for Africa, which is centered in Ghana at the AFCFTA. So the market is driven from Ghana, which is the center of the world. Then I tell you, our logistics chain, we are equidistant from every part of the world, which is why you must locate your factory here as an example, because it's easy to export. then it links to then moving us from export processing zone or free zone to special economic zones. Because in special economic zones, people produce and then they export.
Jacob Brobe of Absa Bank also reiterated the need to give various tourist sites in the country a facelift to increase demand and visits.
So it's all about, developing the infrastructure around these known, assets that we have, and also ensuring that we market it, right? So that even domestic market tourism, so that as Ghanaians, we should be able to visit these areas and then have the memories, as David said, that it must be part of us. Yeah. So that when you sit in a taxi and somebody who is visiting Ghana for the first time, you say, where should I go? You should be quick to say, go to this place, there's a restaurant there, there's a hotel nearby, there's what. So that's the point that I was trying to make. So yeah, I think there's more that we need to do, because most of our, go to the north, go to Kakum after visiting, or less probably you go to Cape Coast, or probably you make a return trip. So there are so many things that we need to do, to ensure that we get the full potential of those historical assets that we have.
Juliet Asante of the National Film Authority also called for more attention to be given to the creative industries to harness its full potential and boost the economy.
If you have a sector that is contributing 10% to global GDP, and yet when you're thinking about attracting foreign direct investment, you don't think about that sector as a key vehicle, then you are kind of missing the plot a little bit. I mean, just to give you some kind of throwaway example, is it the Georges Dam or something in China? Cost $25 billion to make over 30 years. Within that same time, the theater for performances or whatever in New York made $27 billion from performances. So within the same time that amount of money was spent on creating a dam for 30 years, the creative sector, just performance in theaters in New York, in one edifice in New York, made more than that plus change. And so for me, when I think about the value and how this is such a low-hanging fruit for us.
Yofi Grant of the Investment Promotion Center, on the other hand, pointed that Ghana remained a viable option for many investors despite the economic challenges the country might be facing.
For most of the foreign direct investment we're seeing, most of it is going into services. We are seeing quite a lot of interest in infrastructure development, especially the railway lines and the roads. We're seeing interest in the technology space, and quite a number of people have expressed interest in setting up data centers in Ghana. In fact, one of the projects I'm looking at right now is setting up a data center, a 50-megawatt data center, which is huge, to serve the African continent from Ghana. And so that tells us that there's a certain recognition that this can only happen in Ghana. If you take all the 54 countries on the continent, they think Ghana is the best place for it to happen. And we are seeing quite a number of others also come in. Recently, I put out pictures of our visits to the Tyler Perry studios, because there's an express interest in saying that where can we set up studios in Africa to actually bring African content out.
Well, it's a wrap for this week's edition of the Business Weekly Show here on City TV, your most watched business show in the country. For more business stories, check out our website, citybusinessnews.com, or don't miss out on the Business Dashboard, which airs on City TV at 10 p.m. sharp every weekday and repeats the following day at 7 and 10:30 a.m.